Hello and welcome into Talking CB, guys, and welcome back to the channel here today. And let's crack straight on with it, because Sport are reporting that we are very close to signing the Real Sociedad centre-back Inigo Martinez. They came out this morning with the report that with the Neymar money, which we now have, they say will trigger Martinez's €32 million release clause. That is expected to happen imminently. Sport are absolutely convinced that we're going for Inigo Martinez, and they say it's actually only very small details still to be agreed, and then it will become official and we will have signed Inigo Martinez from Real. Now, that is a big story. A lot of other sources are yet to sort of get on board with it. We haven't heard an awful lot from the likes of Rack 1, MD on our reports on Inigo Martinez. They haven't really followed up with Sport on this, but it could possibly be true. So I thought what I would do is do a video on Inigo Martinez and have a look at exactly who we may be signing this summer to come into the centre of our defence. The first thing to note is that he is a centre-back. He is 26 years old, and he's somebody that's been very experienced in La Liga over the last few seasons. And we've actually been linked with Inigo Martinez quite a few times in the past, particularly towards the end of Pep Guardiola's reign at the club, and then in the years following that when we were desperately searching for a centre-back partner for Piqué, we were linked with Martinez a great deal. And since then, he maybe hasn't been as sort of highly reported as he once was when he was more young, but certainly since then he's been solid, and that's the way I would describe him, and this is the way I would describe this signing as a whole, really. It's a good signing, it's decent. He would certainly improve the depth of our squad, because, I mean, you look at last season, people are saying, we don't need him. You look at last season when we were counting in, on Jeremy Mathieu in matches with big games, we were throwing him in there, and even against the smaller sides in La Liga, still, we were counting on players like Mathieu to come in and do a job. It will be much better if we can improve the depth of our squad and bring in better quality players. That's certainly the case for Martinez. 32 million in the modern market isn't an enormous amount of money. It's still quite a bit, but a lot of people have mentioned Aymeric Laporte, and I'm going to come on to talk about Inigo in just a few moments, but a lot of people are saying, we should go for Laporte. That would actually be double the price and more. His release clause is €65 million, and Athletic do not sell for anything less than the players' release clauses, of course, because they have trouble bringing players in to replace them. So for that, I think Inigo is a decent signing, and I'll certainly tell you why in just a moment's time. He's just short of 6 foot tall. A little bit of background knowledge on him. He's about the same set of height and build, in fact, as Samuel Umtiti. The thing is, though, as well, he is left-footed, so it would be difficult to see in the future possibly Umtiti and Inigo playing together, because that would be two left-footed centre-backs, which you don't often see. But at the same time, you do see two right-footed centre-backs, so it wouldn't be completely impossible to play them both together. Ideally, you like one right-footed, one left-footed, but it doesn't always matter. It's not a massive, standing point. It's much good, for passing out the back and doing that build-up play from the back. So that's why it would suit us if we could have one right, one left. But certainly Inigo Martinez is one of those players who's very good on the ball. He would certainly suit our style of play. He likes the ball at his feet. He's very good at playing out of defence. There has been a few times where he's sort of switched out to the full-back positions, and I think he would certainly suit the way that we play, and he's very good on the ball. What I would say is, as well, like I said before, he was linked to us very heavily during Pep Guardiola's era, and he was linked with him quite a lot this summer as well at Manchester City. Man City have reportedly been interested in Inigo Martinez this summer. It was apparent that they possibly could trigger his release clause, but it seems that now we are the favourites to sign Inigo. And just to give you a bit of background knowledge on how experienced he is in La Liga, because he really is a player that in the past few years has racked up a number of games. He stays relatively injury-free. He does like to play nearly every game for La Real, and they've counted on him a great deal over the past few years since he made his debut in 2011, about 6 years ago. He came through the Sociedad Academy, so he's been very much a one-club man so far in his career, and in that time, he's made 222 appearances in all for Sociedad, and 193 of those coming in La Liga. So he's a very established, very experienced La Liga centre-back. He knows the league, he knows the style, and he's certainly at home with playing in La Liga. In that time as well, he's actually scored 16 goals and created 5 assists in La Liga, which is not a bad return for a centre-back. And like I said, he is pretty comfortable on the ball. At times, he does actually take free kicks. He's got a decent strike of the ball. One he did rattle in from about 30 yards last season against Sporting Gijón. So he is very comfortable. He's one of those centre-backs that certainly suits our style of play. He's not all about defending. It is a bit more to the game than that, and he certainly suits that part of it. In his time at Sociedad, he's made 11 European European appearances as well. So he has made a little bit of an appearance on the European stage. That does include the qualifiers for the Europa League and Champions League as well, but he did play in the group stages of both those competitions, and he's actually made 4 Spain caps. He made his debut back in 2013, about 4 years ago now. He made his Spanish debut, and I think actually Inigo is one of those players that, had he been playing for a bigger club, the likes of Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, he would have got more Spain caps than he has done. I think Spain have got a lack of central defenders, and I think Inigo actually would have answered quite a few of their problems if he'd been given more of a chance. So I think if he does move to Barcelona, you would definitely see him making more Spain caps than that, because that's the way the squad is sort of picked at times. Last season, he made 34 appearances in the league, scoring 3 goals and creating 4 assists, which, like I say, is decent for a defender. But of course, we're not signing him to score goals, and we're not signing him to create goals. We are signing him ultimately to keep the ball at the net. That is what we want him to do. So how does he compare in terms of the defensive stats? Well, I think he's a player that certainly is very, very hard in the tackle, because he's picked up a lot of yellow cards over the course of his career. He picked up 10 yellows last season, and I have noticed when I've watched him, he does go to ground quite a lot. He does like to go in on the sliding tackle, but there's nothing really wrong with that. If you get it right, you see Gerard Piqué quite a lot go for a sliding tackle. If you get it right, if you're accurate in your tackling, then there's nothing wrong with it at all. But of course, you've got to make sure that you get it right. You can't go diving in and jumping into challenges and risk yellow cards, being the last man, missing the challenge and leaving us exposed. But what I do like about Inigo is, like I said, he does suit our style of play tremendously. He's one of those players who would form a very, very good relationship with, say, Jordi Alba, because he'd be consistently playing out the back and playing passes with Jordi Alba, and I think he would suit our style of play really well there. One of the things I do like about him as well is, like I said, at times he has sort of covered at the full-back positions, and what that does allow him to do is, when Jordi Alba, say, goes forward and, he's on the attack and he can't get back, Inigo Martinez, I feel, would be quite, happy to go across down that left-hand side and cover. He would understand his positioning, he would understand where he needs to be, and that could be very, very useful for us, because at times our full-backs go forward and they do leave us exposed, and you need your centre-backs to read the danger, to understand where they need to be in turn to make those interceptions, and I think certainly Inigo Martinez can definitely do that. So I think he would be actually a decent signing. A lot of people are saying, why do we need a centre-back? And that does seem to be the general question. I don't think any people are really doubting that Inigo Martinez has quality, because he does. A lot of us have seen him in La Liga over the last few years. But a lot of people are saying, do we really need to bring in a centre-back right now? Well, I think the general consensus is, why are we doing it sort of first? We should be going after Ousmane Dembele, possibly a midfielder, and then coming on to Inigo Martinez. But of course, the club don't want to hang around. I mentioned Man City's interest. They don't want to risk another club coming in and paying his release clause before us. So if they can do the deal, I guess they're going to do it. What I would say is as to why we need another centre-back is because I think Vermaelen is going to be leaving the club this summer. Even though he's quite decent in pre-season, he does have a lot of injury problems. He's likely going to be heading back to the Premier League. West Brom are reportedly interested in signing him. I think this is probably going to be Mascherano's last season at the club. It'll be a sad day when he leaves, because I think he's been a fantastic servant for the club during his time here. But let's face it, he isn't getting any younger. I think this season will probably be his last season. You've got to also remember that Gerard Piqué now as well is 30 years old. And of course, last season he did have a number of niggling injuries throughout the season, particularly with a few problems with his hip, which allows him to not play that many games in a row. So if we can give Gerard Piqué a rest, we would definitely like to do that. So that's why another centre-back could be important. A lot of people have mentioned the possible arrival next season of Yerry Mina. He may be coming in, the Colombian international centre-back, young lad. And of course, Marlon as well. He's a young player coming through. But those players are not quite renowned yet. They're not established. They're not proven. So I think what the club are doing here is acting quickly, looking at something where we may need to bring somebody in and then going and paying the release clause. Like I said, in the current market, 32 million euros isn't an awful lot of money. Particularly with all the money that we got from Neymar, it wouldn't be the end of the world to pay that out and get somebody. And I think, like I say, Inigo Martinez would give our squad more depth. It would give us more of an opportunity to rest the likes of Piqué and Titi when needed. And I think it would give us definitely something else in that centre-back position to strengthen our squad. So I want to know your thoughts though, because I know a lot of people sort of confused to this signing. Some of you may not have seen him in La Liga. Like I said, I'm not surprised by it, because I think we've been linked with him so many times before. I'm not altogether that surprised that we are going for Martinez. But like I say, 32 million euros release clause. What do you think of that? Should we be signing in? Is there another signing that you'd like to see us go for? And like I say, of course, I think we should be going for Dembele, for Seri possibly, going and getting those targets first. first and then focusing on this. This isn't really a priority signing, but I suppose the club are in the position where if they can get it done, they're trying to do that. So guys, leave your thoughts down below. What are your thoughts on the signing? What are your thoughts on the fee? Do you think it's too much, too little? Let me know down below. I will see you very, very soon. Lots more videos coming up on the channel, guys, because I think every single day now we're going to see different things happening. We're going to see lots of rumours, we're going to see lots of transfer stories. We've got to dissect what's true, what isn't. This has not been confirmed yet. Sport are the only source reporting it, but they seem very, very confident that we are closing in on the signing of Inigo Martinez from Real Sociedad. I'll see you very, very soon, but until then, as always, Visca el Barça!